With Dragon Ball Super Episode 54 now officially listed in the history books, today guys we're going to go ahead and dive into the official conversation between Gowasu and his assistant Zamasu alongside Vegeta, Future Trunks, Goku, and Beerus. For those who haven't seen the sub version, I'm going to go ahead and present that to you right now, alongside a couple of Dragon Ball haters who apparently hate the show because of Akira Toriyama's direction. So we're going to go ahead and address that after the official conversation reveal. So without wasting any time, let's begin. Now, as you guys can see on your screen, Trunks is talking to both Whis and Beerus about connecting Zamasu to Black and says, in other words, there was nothing that linked Zamasu to Black, and that's when Whis replied by saying, indeed, and that's when Trunks said, but all of you felt Zamasu's ki from Black, right? So what if Zamasu disguised himself as Black or transformed himself into a human using his divine powers? Are you saying that there was no chance of either of those? And that's when Whis replies by saying, Zamasu and Black were far too different for us to conclude that they were the same being. What we felt from Black was an immense evil ki, but Zamasu didn't have that level of evil within him. And of course, with that being said, everyone is wondering to themselves if in fact Zamasu is in some way, shape, or form related to Black. And that's when we pan on over and see furthermore, Zamasu did not know Goku's son, whereas Black spoke as if he did know him. So obviously enough, Whis is pointing out that Zamasu didn't really recognize who Goku was. That was the first time he ever saw Goku, whereas opposed to Black, the second he saw Goku, he told him that he was honored to fight him using that body. So that's when Whis says that's another thing that makes them very different. Their ki may be similar, but at the moment, it's hard to connect them from what we have alone. And that's when Beerus intervenes and saying, at the moment anyway, we can't rule out the possibility that he might start having dangerous thoughts down the line, in which case you're gonna have to agree with Beerus here, because people do change for the worst. And you know, people change over time. Some people better themselves, but more often than not, some people get very bitter about certain things. And of course, that's when Beerus points out that at the moment anyway, Zamasu could be thinking negative thoughts. I really can't imagine him being that bad of a guy, says Goku. I should know the best after having to spar with him. And that's when Trunks replied by saying, you fought him? Obviously enough, Trunks didn't know about any of this going down. And that's when Goku said, yeah, he had some pretty interesting techniques. He may be a god, that's when Beerus said, he may be a god, but he's still just an apprentice Kaioshin. He wouldn't stand a chance against Goku, who's fought me. And of course, Trunks being surprised, he says, Goku's son has even fought the god of destruction. Is there even a need for me to fight? Maybe Goku can beat Black on his own. So obviously enough, Trunks begins to doubt himself. I spoke more about this in my breakdown review. And that's when we pan over back to Gowasu and Zamasu. And Gowasu says the tea is somewhat bitter. And Zamasu tries to cover it up by saying, oh, it's the leaves and whatnot. And that's when Zamasu was like, hey, you're not putting the blame on the leaves, are you? And they're overlooking the barbarians on the planet. And of course, that's when Zamasu says they're too brutal. In that case, perhaps we should clean them up while we can. And that's when Gowasu says, clean them up, what do you mean? And that's when Zamasu says, exterminate them, of course. Now that sparks a lot of concerns, a lot of red flags going off, because why would Zamasu, who is an apprentice Kaioshin, as stated by Beerus, want to destroy an entire civilization based on them having to be brutal? You get what I'm saying? So you can't really help but side with Beerus on the conversation and topic of Zamasu having negative thoughts. And that's when Gowasu says, what are you saying? Zamasu, that's the god of destruction's job. And that's when Zamasu replies by saying, are you saying those ferocious creatures will become calm? I rather doubt order will be born. After having watched so many other planets examples, it's obvious, can we really travel freely throughout time? Because Gowasu suggested for them to travel 1,000 years in the future just to test Zamasu's theory on them having to be calm or not. And that's what Gowasu replies by saying we can only go into the future and then back to our homeworld. And that's when Zamasu asks, what about going into the past? And that's when Gowasu replies by saying that is impossible, which pretty much contradicts itself, because we saw how Black was able to go back into the past. And that's when Gowasu said, do you remember the different color rings we saw in the box? Yes, those were born from history being changed and different worlds being created. So in case you guys were wondering what those green rings were, those were actually born from history of different planets being created. So we see him talking about how another ring appeared on the top row just 5 years back. It appears that someone created another world. What kind of fool would have done that? So the green rings are forged from creation. The only ones who can use the time rings to travel throughout time are those who have been granted the title of Kaioshin. You are only an apprentice, so you can't go. But then Gowasu says put this on, and he offers him one of the green earrings. He says it's temporary, promoting you to a Kaioshin. Put it on your left ear and don't get it wrong. And that's when Zamasu asked, with one on my right ear and the other on the left, wouldn't we merge? And I know a lot of you guys were asking that in the comment section of my breakdown. That's when Gowasu replies by saying we would merge and become a single powerful Kaioshin, but we would never be able to turn back to ourselves. Well then, speak to the time ring and command it 1,000 years. And they obviously head into the future. And once again, that's where we begin to see signs of hostility, as Zamasu says, as long as humans exist, the universe will never have peace, which doesn't make any sense, because if he wants to have peace, then why is he destroying? So it doesn't seem to add up here. But then we pan over to Trunks and Vegeta, and of course Trunks powering up to Super Saiyan 2 says, now father, you don't have to hold back, come at me with the same style as Goku using Super Saiyan 3, and Vegeta laughed it off. So if anybody ever had any hopes of seeing Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, you can kiss that out the window. So we see Trunks saying what's so funny, and that's when Vegeta powers up to Super Saiyan Blue. Trunks is like that form, and that's when Vegeta asks Trunks what happened to your high spirits, and that's when Trunks becomes a Ultra Super Saiyan 2. And the reason why it's an Ultra Super Saiyan 2 is because Trunks is still a Super Saiyan 2, and of course he adapted and added in the Ultra Light format to his transformation. And of course that's when we see Trunks say, the key of the gods which transcends that of the humans to do battle with the god of destruction. And that's when Vegeta says, if you can land one single hit on me, you win. So of course Trunks makes that bet with his dad, and that's when he powers up to this Ultra Max Super Saiyan 2 level, and Vegeta shits on him. He says, you're still relying on that sluggish transformation. And that's when Trunks powered down. The only reason why he buffed up in the first place was to catch Vegeta off guard. That's when Vegeta says, he showed me the useless transformation in order to drop my guard. And that's when Trunks is getting beat up, and he says he's too strong, far too strong. And after he got beat up, he says there was no need for me to get stronger. So he's doubting himself yet again because he just saw Super Saiyan Blue. And that's when Vegeta grabbed him and he says, you fool, what are you smiling for? Is defeating Black your only goal? Look further ahead. If you carry the blood of the proud Saiyans, if you are my son, I will not allow you to lose to anyone. And after Vegeta was done making his speech, he let Trunks go, and that's when Trunks headbutted him and said, I landed a hit on you. I will surpass both you and Black. Now, where have we seen that before? We've seen that with Kaba, as Kaba vowed to be as strong as Vegeta, even surpassing him one day. So, and then we pan over to Beerus and Whis, and surprisingly enough, that's when Zeno appears through Whis' staff, and Whis says, your majesty, what a pleasant surprise, how do you do? And Zeno says, it's been a while. See, I contacted you because I wanted to talk to you about something. You see, I want to meet Son Goku. And of course, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but the preview was very short. All it says is, the King of All is calling me. I want to meet Son Goku, see a summon from the King of All. So the preview was very short, very, very short. We don't really get to see much. And of course, with that being said, there are a lot of contradictions in this particular episode, with time traveling, with having to go into the past and the future, and having to affect the course of history, because we see how Black is able to go into the future. He went back into the past, so obviously enough, he does have that effect. But we also see how Trunks vows to pretty much become stronger. So I want to get your thoughts on three things. I want to get your thoughts on how powerful you guys believe Trunks will become towards the end of his arc. Number two, I want you guys to tell me what you guys believe Zeno wants to see Goku about. And number three, I want to know in the comment section below, who do you guys believe is going to be the one to defeat Black? Now, with that being said, there are a few people within the Dragon Ball community who feel differently about the direction in Dragon Ball Super, feeling as if Akira Toriyama's direction and vision in Dragon Ball Super is tarnishing the franchise. Now, I understand where people are coming from in terms of overall animation, overall color design, overall, structural foundations for the characters. I understand why people are upset on the fact that Goku and Vegeta are the vocal points, and the secondary characters like Piccolo, Gohan, and everyone else is left on the sideline. But again, as you guys can see on your screen, there was one particular comment among many that actually stood out to me the most, that being, I think his name is K and K Production, who listed a few of his words as follows. He wrote, fuck Super, what the fuck is with this bullshit? Omni-King should easily step up and get rid of the problem, but instead we have Goku, who's going to make the save yet again. First and foremost, we don't really know if Goku will be the hero of this entire story, and for the Omni-King, this isn't really his fight to call. So nonetheless, he proceeds by saying, and where the fuck is Black? I do agree. He hasn't been shown doing anything. In Dragon Ball Z, Frieza, Cell, and Shinbu, Majin Buu, were all made to do something at some point, but not Black. Even in GT, the enemies were made out to be destructive, but not Black. What the fuck is going on? Why aren't they showing us more of him and less of this bullshit? Fuck this show. I am done. And Super Saiyan Pink, fuck that. Super Saiyan 4 will always be the best. Now cry about it, whoever don't like it. Now this was actually one of many comments that were posted in my video. I want to address this comment before I address any others. First things first, it's not the Omni-King's fight. Secondly, I do agree with Black Goku. Black Goku's not being shown as much. Obviously enough, they're building towards that, but they aren't really solidifying Black as being a credible threat. They could have shown him doing something in the future, but they haven't. In terms of Dragon Ball GT, there were tons of flaws between Omega Shenron, Super Android 17, and of course Baby Vegeta. but the comparison cannot be made between Dragon Ball GT and Dragon Ball Super. Anybody out there who feels differently, comment down below. But in terms of your overall comment on Super Saiyan 4 looking better than whatever they have going on right now, the overall design for Super Saiyan 4 is, I would have to say, vastly superior than Super Saiyan God. Super Saiyan 4 looks very muscular, Super Saiyan 4 looks very intimidating, and Super Saiyan 4 has a different feel to it. But however, Super Saiyan God is at a different prestige level, and that's why they're keeping it off the screen as much. So that's why some people are wondering as if why Goku's going Super Saiyan 1, 2, and stuff like that. They're trying to preserve the transformation for bigger and more, you know, credible threats. But as of right now, comments like these have begun to pretty much spurge out, and I get why people are upset. They want to see more, but at the same time, you guys can't expect to see Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Vegeta fight, you know, Super Saiyan 6 Broly and stuff like that, Whis having to fight the Omni-King. You can't expect to see battles like that. Obviously, every battle has to have a build-up, and you're building up with Black Goku, at least as of right now. So the next comment was made out to say, Dragon Ball Super is the most insulting anime I've seen. When I thought I could finally have faith in the series, it backstabs with another shitty transformation, pedophilia, fanfiction level writing of characters, acting of character. You thought the animation is really good, too bad. Here are some real shitty, lazy off-model shots for a few minutes. People often compare animation to movie quality animation. Guys, I get it. The animation could be perfect in Dragon Ball Super. You also have to get the fact that these people are running on somewhat of a budget. Obviously enough, they're a huge company and they can pour out a lot of money into animation, in which case they have, but you can't really expect to see some Michael Bay type graphics to where the show just looks mind-blowingly amazing. You get what I'm saying? I mean, the show as of right now is very, very good. Can it be great? Yes, it can. But you're saying that Dragon Ball Super is the most insulting anime ever. Like, the whole pedophilia thing, I'm not really too big of a fan of, as we saw in Dragon Ball Super episode 54 with my, you know, fantasizing about future Trunks kissing her and stuff. Like, I'm not really a fan of that. I mean, that's absolutely right. I mean, pedophilia should be taken away. But in terms of fan fiction writing, keep in mind, Toyotaro was the creator of Dragon Ball AF. That was all fan fiction. That was a fan-made manga, and this dude is now operating and helping out for Dragon Ball Super, so of course, he's looking after the fans' interest in creating fan fiction-like material. But in terms of shitty transformations, we have yet to see anything surpass Super Saiyan Blue. All we have right now is Super Saiyan God, or SSG, and Super Saiyan Blue, or Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan. So those are the only two transformations as of right now. We don't really have a Super Saiyan White, a Super Saiyan Rose confirmation right now. We haven't really seen anything else. We haven't seen if there's anything above Super Saiyan Blue, so we can't really make that distinction quite yet. But I get where people are coming from, but you're gonna have to give the show a chance. Once the show is completely over and done with, then make your ultimate conclusion if you enjoyed it as much as you guys thought you did. Of course, you know, the show has a lot of plot holes, but you can't really base it off of a few things. So again, I just wanted to showcase a few comments. I'm gonna be making a video really soon, just reading a lot of these hate comments for Dragon Ball Super. I'm not gonna defend the entirety of Dragon Ball Super because Dragon Ball Super does have its flaws, but to say that this is the most insulting anime that someone has ever seen, yet the most insulting anime in history, I think is too far. So thank you guys for watching. Once again, I truly hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys are fans, don't forget to subscribe for more daily uploads. If you guys are fans of Dragon Ball in general, punch that like button square in the face, comment down below, leave your thoughts. Thank you all for watching once again, and I'll be seeing you all down below. Take it easy, guys. Peace.